oh yeah, you got a free pass. For us, we have to go like meandering through.
Well, he's super fast. I mean, like I saw him like in the back, and then now he's here before me.
Yeah, this one lane.
Amazing. Yeah, just pick from the one that's fastest. Oh my god.
Good to see you, man.
And you have time after the session. You can sit down and have a chat. You don't have to rush. Okay, it's fine.
I have another session start, but I don't think it's that far away.
Yeah.
And
Which
right
pavilion?
close to here is the Museum of Frontiers and then the Innovation Hub.
We walk with you so that yeah, you can walk.
Well, I just find a quiet place.
So all the pavilion is like so close, right?
Well,
Most of all kind of
I think it's all closed. It's nice. It's a nice venue.
right,
Expo
nice
City
walk.
but everybody's kind of in silence, closed off from each other. So you can't walk through and then hear what's going on
Exactly,
there or there.
exactly.
You have to open every door,
Right, right.
and then in between is the heat. So
But the heat here is not so bad.
no,
That's not humid.
no view.
The thing is, when they open the door to some pavilion, you thought, oh, no activities, and you close it back, you know, and you keep on opening and closing different pavilions.
Yeah, the Turkey,
That's good.
coffee that you buy in America. Oh, what happened?
Good. So at least we get to meet all these afterwards. Hi, thank you. You don't know them. Over there. Let me introduce you.
Recording in progress.
also have a live section. I mean, live section. Yes. So, let me know if it's ready. Okay, so good morning, all the audience and everyone, and also from the online. Thank you so much for joining our Thai Pavilions. And today we have a section that is, it's gonna be a talk, and we have like 4 people on the panelists. I mean, all our panelists they are very special. And welcome everyone if you are considering if joining. So now it's time, okay? So I think that now it's time to start. So let me start to greeting a bit. Firstly, my name is Jongkoman Pihusut. Good morning, everyone. And I will try to start one by one for the introduction. But firstly, our section, what are we going to talk about? This section is going to be how do non-technological innovation concepts catalyze the achievement of net zero emission. Of course, long time we always talk about how technology helps that for the net zero emission, but this time it's very minimal that we would see how non-technological can be talked and mentioned. And today, this stage, we have people who are working on non-technological, and even though some are also involved in technological innovation. But let's listen to how they experience and work on that technological innovation. So for today, let me introduce one by one. I have the one who's sitting next to me, Dr. Surashai Satitkunarat. He is the Vice President of the Office of International Higher Education, Science Research, and Innovation Policy Council, which is called in short as NXPO. Dr. Surashai. Go to the next one. We have here with us Dr. Supashai Pajariyanon, or Dr. Kit, as we know him in this short. He is the CEO and co-founder of RISE Cooperate Innovation Powerhouse. And the third one, we know him on broadcast everywhere in Thailand, and now we're having him here with us. Associated Professor Dr. Singh Intara Shuto. He is the head of the Creative Center of Eco Design, Kasetsat University, and Chief Advisor of Research and Innovation for Sustainability Center, or RISE, at MQDC. Dr. Singh. And much special we have here is the last one, our panelist, Professor Mark Buckley. He is a sustainable futurist and Aloha's Regenerative Foundation. And we have him here. He experiences so much in this climate change themes. So, Professor Mark. Our appreciation is go for all the speakers here, and we have them crowded here. So because of the topic that we are talking, it's very special. So let's start with the first one. Let's start to know one by one how they work on the non-technological innovation. Let's start by Dr. Surashai. So please tell us a bit about how Nextbo has done with the non-technological innovation field and for the net zero achievement.
Thank you, Dr. Dong Kamon. On behalf of my office, NXPO seems to focus on science, technology, and innovation. And also, Professor, I'm also Executive Director of APEC Center for Technology Foresight. As I heard from Dr. Dokamon, you work on future as a futurist. In fact, my capacity seems to focus on technological. we have in my office in Expo, we realize if we want to drive policy, in particular national policy, we face a lot of failures from our experience. If we just focus on technology, if we focus on financial, but if lack of public acceptance, lack of social humanity issues, this is bring us to failure for drive the policy. So I want to share to you one of our maybe non-technical or non-science technology project from us to you. Okay, my office, policy formulator, national policy formulator, and also we involve in COP or climate change on behalf of national designated entity or focal point of climate technology center network under technology mechanism under UNFCCC. And also we have done and we also will do the international project under UNFCCC called Technology Needs Assessment or TNA. Is we need to identify the needs on technology for Thailand. This is my office, and this our office we have proposed the national policy to Thai government. We call BCG. It's not a vaccine. It's not economic model. It's this bio-circular green economy. This is we believe this is a new growth engine of Thai economy. If we want to make it more sustainable or regenerative, so we need to go to bio-circular green based on our strength on bio and our strength on our culture. So it's not only the real sector, but it needs some tourism sector, for example. So we propose this to Thai government, and this policy, BCG, has been adopted as our national policy. And we think we want to drive this policy to our bottom of the pyramid, our grassroots, for example, for MSME, micro, small, medium enterprise. So this is our focus, one of our example. Okay, we work with small, medium enterprise promotion organization to try to encourage MSME, micro, small, medium enterprise to realize, to have awareness in bio-circular green economy. We work with them. We have many seminars. We have invited them to participate in our accelerator incubator for BCG. And we also try to focus on one of non-technological issues. It means we focus on standard indicator, because this is a quite new policy in Thailand. How we know which what is bio-circular green economy, how we can determine, how we can identify the project or company is linked to bio-circular green economy or sustainable development also. So we have identified indicator to them, for them. Oh. And for this, you can see from this presentation, we work with them in our nationwide Next slide, please. Okay. The outcome from this, not only public awareness focus on MSME, it's also inform them and guide them to use an indicator. But we need to link to international indicator also, because it is not just a domestic activity, because we want to prove to international forum, international fora, for example, UNFCCC, which we need to prove our MSME can be complied with international indicator like SDG, for example. This is our target, our output of more than 1,000 MSME to work with us. This is not only awareness, accelerator, incubator, and also we identify BCG entrepreneurs. And we have also created, we call ecosystem for MSME. I think that's all of my briefing to you for my first round. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Surashai. Yeah. Thank you. We start from the policy at very first as of course, a grassroots or maybe top of the pyramid, how they will conduct the policy or how the instruction for the others. And that's how we start with Dr. Surashai. And we know that NXPO have done so far with the indicator, which is one of really non-technological issues for NXPO. So how about in terms of business? We have also like 2 people at least here that is working on business, and they are can truly say that they are non-technological innovations. And they are now driving the net zero emission as well, how that's related. And let's listen to the experience of Dr. Kit Pachariyanon. How would you share us about that?
Yeah, thank you so much, Khun Dokamon, and I would love to extend my gratitude to NXPO and also the Climate Change Department. This is my first COP, so like any of you here like first COP as well? Raise your hand. Yeah, so we have a couple of friends, so we can chat about the experience later on. Yeah, for me, I mean like yeah, super exciting to be here, and I'd love to share a little bit about what we do in terms of non-technical like change that we have done, right? I try to click my slides, but then it's not coming up. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I coming from RISE. Yeah, our organization, like our mission. Yeah, we have crazy mission. We started 7 years ago. We want to help drive 1% of GDP for Thailand and the whole Southeast Asia. So that's kind of like crazy mission that we had, and then the way that we do it. Yeah, so we working with many stakeholders, over 500 firms. Yeah, helping them from ground up. Yeah, from connecting startup globally, yeah, to helping them, right? And then also helping the company, the big corporate, to become entrepreneur, yeah, to be able to set up the new venture, from their own employees. Yeah, we also running the fund, like the venture capital, yeah, to help accelerate the growth of the startup, like globally. Yeah, so that's what we been doing. Yeah, but the change and why you might wonder, and what is this kind of like driving 1% growth of GDP going to relate it to climate, right? So after we've been working, right, with over 500 firms and driving already 2.5 billion US in impact, in economic impact, helping the poor people getting better, right? But then 2 years ago, we reflect ourselves whether how did we do? Are we proud of what we did in the past couple of years? Yes, yeah, we do. But we're not quite sure if the work that we do help accelerating innovation, but the world getting worse because innovation maybe is meaning more buildings coming up, like using more cement, right? Or people consume more. So probably while we're doing that, we destroy the world more. We say no, we don't want to be that person, and we believe it is the era that we need to also do good and do well at the same time. That's why 2 years ago we changed our mission. We want to increase 1% of GDP while reducing 1% of the carbon for the world. Luckily, Thailand is not producing 1% yet. But then, I think if we do nothing, we're gonna be so close, right, to that number. So if you're looking at the number, right, Southeast Asia, we produce around 7% of carbon emission for the world. And the plan that we have so far cannot catch up with that challenge just yet, right? When we're talking about like how as RISE, we're driving innovation, but how we be able to help on the climate side, I think we have three things, right? Three things. I think definitely policy is one of that. Without great policy from like an XPO, we could not achieve anything better, right? But we're not going to focusing on technology today, so I skip technology. But I just want to put it here because I believe without technology, we also cannot achieve net zero fast enough. So that's, but we leave it there, right? Another two pillars that I like to focus, first is about leadership transformation. Why leadership transformation important, right? Harvard Business Review already say organization won't change if their leadership doesn't change, right? So then we thought, okay, if we be able to change the mindset of the leadership about climate, right? So that's going to helping the world a lot more. So we ask ourselves, next one, thanks. We ask ourselves, right, that how might we embrace sustainability as a new business age, not more cost to the business, right? So that because most of the firms that we're talking to, many of them say, oh, we don't want to invest in climate a lot because it's more cost to our company, we're going to do less profit. No. If we be able to change that mindset, to let the people think that if you be able to create the new business using sustainability as a new weapon, then you're going to like overcome like your competitors, right? And then become the leader in your sector. So that's the idea. And then how we come about that, how we do that, we launched our leadership education program, just a couple months back. The program called STX, Sustainability Transformation Exponential. We're so lucky that we got Mark here as a keynote speaker. So like he flew to Thailand to support the program. We got around like 40 like the leaders, C-suite, from the banks, from the government sector, like the state-owned enterprise, like from the many like big company, because we need to start from the leadership, right? So that's what we do here. So, Mr. Mark is also in the picture as well. We let them not only learn about what is the climate change, why we need to care about it. No, the focus is how you can create the new business. With the mindset of climate in mind. So that's a paradigm shift. For like many people. So that's the first thing. So in summary, so leadership. If you want to change anything, especially in Asia, I think leadership is the most important. Sometimes we work from the bottom up, it doesn't work. That's truth be told, right? But then if your leader say yes, then it's a lot easier. So that's the first thing. The second thing, I would touch about the investment, right? Because when we're talking about the climate, right? I touched a bit on the climate investment these days, right? So when people talk about climate tech, we don't want to talk a lot about climate today, but I just want to emphasize that when we talk about the climate tech is everything that you when you wake up until you go to bed, right? When you wake up, well, first thing you do, you turn on electricity. Electricity also produces carbon if you don't manage it well. After you take a shower, you go to breakfast, right? You eat some meat. So that's also producing carbon as well, as we all know, right? And then when you go to the office to work, also the EV transportation also produce carbon. So climate tech is everywhere right now. And why this is important, is that if you cut out AI, people talking about AI quite a lot these days, right? ChatGPT, OpenAI, right? But if you do not count the AI, climate tech is number one investment in the world right now, and it's top 2.6 trillion US, yeah, all-time high this year, right? So that's kind of like the why climate tech is important and we should look at, right? And that's why for us, how we be as a small country like Thailand, how we be able to push the boundary for the world. So we launched what we call like CX0, which is the venture capital fund. And after we searched throughout the world, this is the first fund in the world. And you guys are among the first people to know, right, that this is the first climate venture that be able to achieve triple bottom line. Yeah, you guys have, I'm sure you know about triple bottom line. Like I learned that from Mark as well, right? So like the people, like planet and profit, right? How we be able to combine that? Because when we're talking about venture capital, most of the people think, oh, money for money, right? We invest and then get the money back. No, we don't do that alone, right? So the theme for CX0, yeah, we combine three things together. First, definitely the fund. Yes, when we invest in climate tech, we need some return. So that definitely the profit that everybody gonna get. But we add two more things that no one else have done before, and we thought this is going to be the proud of the country, the proud of the region. Yeah, we call that catalyst. Catalyst, who is that catalyst, right? When we go to invest in any company, normally the venture capital, if you're not familiar with that, right? Venture capital gonna hire fund manager. That fund manager, yeah, is good to make investment. But what we do more, we also using that money, like management fee that we have, to hire people we call catalysts. And these catalysts is the people who gonna help adoption of the technology inside the big corporate. Yeah, because when we're talking about this, like the technology, right? Most of the time, the pitfall that happen is that people just don't want to adopt technology. They don't want to change. Yeah, but we have these expert. Yeah, this is Ivy League people that been working in the climate for so long, understand startup, understand the politics in the corporate. We hire that for free, right? We hire them for free for the corporate, and then but the goal is to help the corporate to reduce the carbon. Yeah, so that's what we think is help the planet for sure. Yeah, without additional cost for the corporate. And third, last but not least, yeah, we also the profit, yeah, from this investment, we're gonna set up the foundation, and this foundation we're gonna fund the world-class scientists. Why? We're talking about world-class scientists because when we're talking about the new technology, the new climate tech, right? There's so many PhD, there's so many like researcher, but most of the research they're not commercialized, not be able to commercialize. And what is missing? The missing is go to market. Is missing is like the people who are gonna help on that, right? And most of the researcher, what they lack of is the seed grant, like the grant for them to produce more research. Yeah. And what we do, we're using the profit from the fund to give away for free, yeah, for the researcher to be able to produce the new research. And what we get in return is that if that researcher from Stanford, from MIT, from the top university in the world, they might become Nobel Prize winner, right? And they might spin out the company. When they spin out the company, then they also need funding. Who are they going to think about when they want to raise fund? They're coming back to us. So that is kind of like the ecosystem that we want to build, yeah, for very sustainable. Yeah, so that's kind of like the idea that I like to share, that we be able to achieve this triple bottom line, yeah, by just start investing in climate tech. So that's the people side of it, yeah, helping the people. Yeah, and yeah, that's about the new kind of like the fund that we gonna launch and then gonna save the world. Yeah, and I like to emphasize at the end that it's not only technology, it's also leadership, it's also investment, and it's also like a couple other things that you're gonna hear from other kind of like panelists as well. Thank you.
So, Dr. Kid, this is very interesting chain and ecosystem that he tried to invest and also make a fundamental in his business, and very interesting. So another type of business that is also can be long known as one of the non-technological, non-real technological innovation. But it's been quite a while that we want to hear also as well from Dr. Singh how you can share your business that you maybe almost the first one in among this kind of business for sustainable and non-technological innovation. So go over to you.
It's an honor to be here, really, and to be among people who are passionate about sustainability, climate. The thing that I'll be showing, I don't know whether why you want to hear from me in particular, but I want to share with you today a tool. The tool that we actually use for real in developing future cities, in developing buildings, in developing smart cities, new developments. Can we go back one slide? The tool we have developed called Resilience Framework, because we know that in the future, we cannot just settle for sustainability. And the word sustainability has been of a cliche for the past couple of years now. Even in Thailand, we know that we have moved beyond sustainability. So today, I want to talk a little bit about adaptations. And I think it's very important if we do not understand that the future is, we have passed, I think we should move the laptop here, because I think we cannot reach the slide. I have like 50 slides for you guys. The reason we talk about adaptation now is because we realize that mitigation is too late. And just a few weeks ago, we have learned that we have surpassed the 2 degrees Celsius mark already. So what does it mean? I want to share with you one case. I'm working for a really unique and odd company called MQDC. It's a company that actually a real estate company. And we built huge buildings, huge development, new cities on a regular basis. And we use a lot of land. We always remind ourselves, we are, like what you said, we maybe destroy the planet. We move mountains to, agricultural land. We cut down trees to build homes, to build buildings. So that's not the way to go. So we have to look for new ways. So we keep talking about what are the new ways that we need to recognize. We have been following UN SDG 17 goals religiously for a long time, and it has led us to nowhere. So we have to think about our own way of executing our projects. These new ways became resilient framework. So we are thinking about, okay, Bangkok has a lot more natural disaster. And how can we think through and have the future that is more rough? We realize the future is rougher than in the past. And when you have a business that takes a lot of land all the time, the future is so rough, doesn't make sense. It's too risky. If we have a plan, our company that we are working has 50 years plan, 100 years plan. How can we last that long? We always wonder, would a government think about 50 years plan ahead, 100 years plan ahead? We do. We do religiously on a monthly basis. So that means we cannot continue. We cannot if we do not adapt or think of new ways to be more resilient. We have seen a lot of shock and stresses that affect the well-being of our project. We have seen uncontrolled crises. We have seen hot war. 4 years ago, 3 years ago, we thought we would never see hot war ever again. 4 years ago, we thought it was like, no, come on, guys. We're not going to see hot war. And look at us. 2 years in the past, so many things, so many bombs and missile testing and invasions, and even the Middle East, we have this, fighting. And this is one of the things that's really shocking, that a large shipping like this size clocked Suez Canal because of sandstorm, huge. How huge could the sandstorm have to be to turn the big ship like that on the side, you know? And we see coral bleaching. You know, we have seen a lot of a new high temperature-wise. You know, in Europe, you know, last year, in Japan, the same thing. In Thailand, you know, everywhere we have seen hazards, severe weather. And when you look at the graph in the past 50 years, you have seen the growth. You know, 50 years ago, we have seen natural disaster about 200-ish around the world. That's only 50 years ago. And now, beyond 1,000. In 2019, we have seen 820. That means you have natural disaster of giant size every day, twice a day. We cannot continue. And when we build new city, there's no way that we can not think about this kind of future development. So we cannot continue. Basically, it has to stop somehow or some way or change the course. So our future needs resilient innovations. So we decided that we need to think about not sustainable innovation, but more resilient innovation. May it be non-technological, technological, whatever. I may not fit in the non-technological part of the panel, but we do need both to drive this. When you build new city, you cannot just do technological advancement. You need to work with people. You need to educate people, make people aware. So what do? We know that we need to bounce back really fast, and we cannot avoid disaster. And how do we bounce back really fast? So what we do, we develop our own resilient framework with 3 pillars. This is very important. Every project we build, we have 3 pillars, resilient framework. And we use this religiously. The 3 pillars, the first one is nature, environment. And we look really close in Thailand context. And it's not so hard. You know, when you don't do the study or the graphic, you may feel like the future is so daunting. You cannot solve the problem. But when you figure it out, 3 pillars, nature, environment, living and infrastructure, and societal and economy. Only 3 pillars. And each pillars only have 3 or 4 sub-pillars. For example, nature environment, we only focus on degrading environment. Water issues. For Thailand, we don't have blizzard. We don't have snowstorm, so we water issues. The third one is future climate that we know is going to be worse. The second pillar, living infrastructure, only 3 sub-pillars. Not a lot. All the incidences like quake, you know, something that's just shocking to us. Health issue, because we just went by the pandemics. And the third one, system disruptions. I will show you, not a lot. The last pillars, we have only 4 sub-pillars. Social issue, inequality, terrorism and attack, and the last one, cultural economic shocks that we are experiencing. But with this, it's even easier for us to work on, because when you break down all these 3 pillars with, you know, just 10 sub-pillars, there are only 40-ish issues you have to handle. Only. For us, you can handle new projects for thousands of issues. But for us, we only have to focus on 44 issues. And when you can only focus on 44 issues, you can do it. Because it's not so difficult anymore. For example, if we focus on degrading environment, there's only 5 issues. Subsidence, inland erosion, air pollution, biodiversity loss, and waste accumulation. That's it. Totally doable. All the technology that we can deploy. And if we look at future climate, we only focus on 3 issues on future climate. Extreme heat, extreme weather, sea level rises. In the Thai context, we can really scope that. We don't do if we go into India, we do have this for India. As you can see, it's very specific. When I talk about this, it's Thailand specific. So when we have developed in India, as we do now, we have resilient chart for India. If we go into Indonesia, we have this for Indonesia. So that's very effective for us to do future development. So all of these, only 44, 45, and we update this every 6 months. 7 months, because we have another team that do all this research to predict or to foresight, like you said, what the future would be. So the thing is, so we use this for all, guiding all the project, billion-dollar project, trillion-dollar project. We use this framework to control all the parts. Otherwise, you invest too much on something that you don't need or something that is not so important. So how do we use it? I'll show you. Basically, we have this framework and lay out all the issues available or that we've seen. For Makasan project, for example, in downtown Bangkok, central Bangkok, we eliminate the issues that's not relevant. So we do not solve all the 44 issues, become even less, maybe 30-ish issues. If we move on to Asok neighborhood, not too far from Makasan, the issue change. And we eliminate the issue that's not even important for Asok, central Bangkok. Then we move on to Thonburi, another side of the river. The issue change. And even in this case, we only have to solve maybe 12 issues that is really important to make the project not resilient. So it's too really effective for us to do and to invest. Ayutthaya project, the same thing. We cut down on things that is not, like for example, we might not really have to think about forest fire because Ayutthaya is next to Chao Phraya River and has no forest, for example, you know. And with Foresters project, I will show you shortly, we also run the resilient framework. Even though it's a huge project and people know that we invest a lot, maybe 2 billion. Yeah, 2 billion US dollars. But we also have this to scope our budget, to scope our projects, that we don't over-invest on something that we don't need to prepare for. And through Digital Park, which is another part of Bangkok, we have the same thing. So this is how we do it. And then suddenly we identify the issues that we need to tackle. One, you can, for example, like this. We have scenarios, the futurist team, foresight team, we have drought, flood, water intrusion, sea level rise, urban heat island, loss of biodiversity, PM 2.5, as the issue that we need to handle. The right part is potential solutions. So we scout globally. We even talk to Mark that maybe Mark needs to help us scout technology ready to handle all the issues on the left side. So with this, you can tell that some technology can only handle one or solve one problem, but some technology or some system can solve multiple problems. So we choose the one that can solve multiple problems to be more effective with the investment. For example, python remediation can solve PM 2.5 and solve water intrusion. So invest in python remediation lab in MQDC. And we don't focus on, for example, hot, humid, climate responsive design as much because it only handles urban heat islands. So we do maneuver different technology and really pin down precisely what we need to invest. Then with that, it allows something else to happen, like Dr. Kit said. One, there are many technology and many innovation around the world that we can shop from, but it helps us to find a gap with the technology that's not available and never exists. So it becomes opportunity for green innovation for us. So if we invest precisely in the technology that nobody has yet. So we don't spend money, everywhere. We spend money precisely on the thing that the world doesn't have. And you see a lot of technology available everywhere. When we shop, we talk to people, they offer this technology, that technology. We hear them all the time. All the time. But the judgment, because of framework, it helps us judge where do we put the money and where do we put the people to explore that technology. We have been so mature with, we are really committed to sustainability. So mitigation is something that, okay, we are familiar with this area. But we are moving toward prepare for impact. The adaptation is the part that we are really think important. And we cannot avoid that. But there are some things that overlap. You can see in the center part. urban forest, future energy, local food. These can be both mitigations and also adaptation. And that's why we have the foresters. Because we understand the framework, we know what we need to do to apply this technology. And that's why we don't have just green park in the middle of our future development of 150-acre, huge piece of land. Is a town, is a city with a lot of projects. But we focus on the forest here because we understand what we need to do to mitigate future climate. But before we do that, you guys, you might be surprised. We invest in camping out. We invite campers, specialists, economists, ecologists, bird specialists, worm specialists, fish specialists, insect specialists to camp out on site because we don't want to destroy the planet, right? And we want to make the project more resilient to help more positive to the environment. So these are the specialists. Well, they look pretty grungy, but that's important because they know their science. And we have done soil testing, water testing, collect all the biodiversity survey, the birds, the bees, everything. We even learn fireflies. They do not migrate, you know that? They would die in the area. So if you turn the water into really dirty water, they will try very hard to stay as long as they can, and then they die. They do not move. This is something that we learn through this study. We need to understand that sometimes you destroy some species or some colony just because you don't understand their behavior. Yes, and we thought that would be the best, right? And they're not actually do anything in particular. Like these are the things that we record on site, you know, for real. And we create ecosystem to return them back to this property. We even study carbon flux. People talk about carbon credits, you know, try to collect carbons. We feel that carbon flux is very important because the land can absorb and release, absorb and release. We only know that trees absorb carbon, but we do not measure how the soil, the ground actually absorb carbon. We need to find a way to measure that, and we are exploring that. And then so that we provide a natural habitat for all well-being, and we aim to be nature positive. No longer think about sustainability, but want to be nature positive. We want to contribute now, you know. But that's not enough. We can do all this for the world, but we know that the world is full of stress, a lot of suicides, a lot of depressions. So we focus on happiness science. People have to be happy, and we don't know why people are so stressed now, in particular why, in our development. You know, so how can we do that? Well, this is a science part. We need to understand what they see, reflect how they feel. So the brain tells you. Questionnaire don't. Questionnaire will not tell you the truth. The brains will. And that's important because when we understand it, we can understand the lighting level, where we can reduce as much as possible and they're still happy. We can grow the right plants. For example, we learn people do not like bushes. Really? And I thought, why? Why do they like big trees more than bushes? They said in the brain study, in the questionnaire study. They're afraid that there might be some snakes, insects, lizards in the bushes. So it helped us a lot in our planning for future forests and future green area. You know, yes. So this is, I'm part of this study. And when we have the brain study, we have all these graphs to analyze so we know what kind of green area, the size, the shape, and how can we contribute both to the people, happiness, and to the world as nature positive. So it's a whole combination, medical center, town center, condominium, low-rise housing, for all this, and even low-income housing. So people would tell us, well, you cannot mix luxury development with low-income housing. No one will accept it. We have to. We have to be inclusive. We cannot just go all out with luxury development. You know, even though we pay high fortunes for all these advisors, but we do know that we need to provide something for people who actually provide the service. I'm almost done. It's not moving. I hope you guys are not bored. I just share with you the thought and the framework, how we actually introduce it to the project. We remove all the compressor. Thailand is very hot and humid, and people will put compressor, air conditioning system in their condominium. The bigger, the better, cooler, quicker, right? Like what we have all this system. Well, we remove all compressor. Compressor spouts heat into the development. We can never have cool basin if we use the same technology. So we use district cooling system, pipe all the cold water throughout the whole site and up into each unit. Is it heavy investment? Yes. Are we losing money? No. So we have to balance all this finance, which is non-technical, with the technical part in parallel together. So I think this panel, don't be misled by the word non-technological, because they have to go hand in hand. And we build build to educate people and to study all the energy flow, energy flux, you know. So the third part, we didn't stop there. We use this development, because it's so big, to be cradle for circular materials. Because we know, if we use virgin materials, 4 times as much, at least, when you excavate something from the ground, from the forest, 4 times as much. As long as you can recycle, reuse, upcycle, you can reduce for sure. But no one, very few people would invest. Even for you, I have to warn you, you might not even invest in upcycle materials, SME. I've seen them fail. After they develop the prototype and they cannot make business case, we don't mind. We allow them to explore and use the material in the development this size. So the cost per unit is not higher, maybe slightly higher, but it became credibility building for a lot of SMEs to jump and move forward without falling off the chasm. So we use integrating upcycle material into the forest, reduce embodied carbon by 75% in theory. Ocean plastic, this is some example. We work with Royal Navy of Thailand, reclaim all this plastic, send them to recycle, recycle, and recycle, and recycle. And at the end, do you know that it became just black something? After 7 times, all this plastic, you cannot recycle forever. You have this char of the black thing after 7 or 8 times. So we explore recycling many times. So we say, okay, why don't we explore? And we use it for mixing with other materials. It may not be the best, but we know that it has to go somewhere. Otherwise, it go to landfill. Can we use something else from it? And we know we use a lot of street, road, pavement. We work on this and then develop prototype and use around. We use curbside of the roads using all these, multiple time reclaimed plastic, as a repository, and no truck. A plastic PET bottle people use for shirts, for T-shirts, but we use it for building materials like carpet, like that. So the carpet made 100% from Gulf of Thailand plastic in Rayong, in Chantaburi, and used in real development that we do ourselves. And educate people along the way in the development. These are my teams, part of my team. And we start looking into eggshells because we work with partners. Eggshell become artificial stones, become this work with SCG, become vinyls. So these are eggshell vinyls. We use rice husks, turn them into mosaics, a beautiful mosaic that we can use in hotels, condominium, offices. We even explore climate tech. We know that we cannot stop at reducing, we need to remove. If we want to go net zero, as people aim to go, you cannot go around it. You have to remove carbon. So for non-technological innovations to combat climate change, we did 2 things. One, we create enabling environment that people allow to use technology to develop it and not fail because the market not accepting it. The second one, we drive change to behavior practice through hope, through purpose. And that's why we launched nature positive, carbon negative by 2050, and no one aim for that. People aim for net zero, but we say carbon negative by 2050, and we must do it. And that's how we move and use this kind of purpose-led to drive innovation, to prepare for the market, to use our project as a cradle for future development. Thank you very much.
So much, Dr. Singh. This is very like holistic tools. And we can see two different business, actually two different business because you use the different tools. And it can show a good picture how you can also like create business in a different way. Very interesting for both. And of course, and both of the businessmen here mentioned about Professor Mark. Seems like you know well in all the cases that happen in this globally. So please share us how you have seen the non-technological innovation in the global views. So over to you, Professor Mark.
Thank you. So I just want to say a few things. So I love what RISC and MQDC is doing. I've been to the Forestas project myself, took an extensive tour. I've been in the RISC offices and lab, taken a tour of the campus, and it's amazing what you're doing for sustainability, what you're doing for resilience. When you hear the word resilience, you know that someone's thinking about the future. And let me tell you why. Because it doesn't matter how much sustainability you have in your organization, in your city, in your country, because in 1 hour, in a few minutes, in a couple days, a natural disaster, a war, a hurricane, a tornado, a flood, a drought, refugees, something can happen that comes into that system and wipes out all of your sustainability in a matter of minutes. And sustainability isn't built back up in a few minutes or a few hours. It's built back in days, weeks, and years. And a matter of fact, there's kind of a poor example, but Puerto Rico was hit by Hurricane Maria, and within hours, 100% of their infrastructure and energy was wiped out, and 90% of their agriculture and food supply was wiped out. And that is still not rebuilt, that they're saying somewhere around 6 years. So the next logical step is after sustainability, that you built in some form of resilience, a resilient system, so that the very next day you have that very next hour you have food, water, basic resources, energy to survive. So I commend, and I've seen the framework. It's extensive. What, over 500 pages? How many pages? It's very extensive, and hours and years of research and a team to go into that, and I commend that. The reason I commend it is because in 2019, the United Nations took a very bold ambition and started a program called Resilience Frontiers. So we all know about the Sustainable Development Goals, but did you ever think what will the goals be after the Sustainable Development Goals? What comes after that? Resilient Development Goals? Could that be that? Well, I'm the futurist who sat on that project and still do for the Resilience Frontiers program in our world, and it was headed by all country delegations, the Secretariat, member states, non-party and party delegates who took a 5-day workshop in Songdo, Korea in 2019 called Resilience Frontiers, where we did a moonshot workshops to iterate and ideate and think, what are the plans, the goals, the targets, and things that we need. So after the Sustainable Development Goals end in December 2030, the next logical step is the Resilient Development Goals from December 2030 to December 2050. And we would hope that we could springboard off into regeneration, to regenerative development goals. But right now we're in adaptation and mitigation for resilience. I show this slide of Leonardo da Vinci is because we've heard the word regeneration on this panel. The way everything in our world works is through regeneration. How do we restore and regenerate? So sustainability has no resilience in it. Resilience has sustainability in it. Regeneration has resilience and sustainability in it. And it allows us to restore and regenerate our world. We're hearing this buzzword, regeneration, quite a bit in our world. People are saying, we need to regenerate, we need to restore. Regenerative agriculture, regenerative medicine, regenerative businesses, business models. It's not something new. It's not trendy. It's been around since Leonardo da Vinci. 500 years ago, he spoke about it, he wrote about it, and he was the first polymath and scientist who actually spoke about regeneration openly and drew about it in his records. But it's actually been around for 3.8 billion years since life on Earth began in this regenerative process. And so that's why I wanted to start out first. That's the long-term goal where we want to go. And it's kind of important to define what regenerative means first. And I want to read this to you. The word regenerative means creating the conditions that are conducive for life to continuously renew itself, to transcend into new forms and flourish amid ever life-changing conditions. And just to make it short, regeneration is to create the conditions that are conducive to life. And so that's why I liked what Dr. Singh and Forestias and MQDC did. They had people go camp out before they started their work. What does the natural world look like here? What are the species here? What are the microorganisms? What are the bugs and birds and the soil look like? And then once they found that out, they said, how can we create the conditions conducive to life, not to kill off those living things, but to use them and give them a home, not only for the people, but one that's good for people, planet, and also, in the end, kind of profit. And so that's really why I have to commend that. Last year in September, November of last year, I published a book. It's called The Global Impact of Social Innovations. It was published by Springer. And it's really interesting because we're here on this panel talking about not only social innovations, but non-technical innovations. It's almost an oxymoron because what we call non-technical innovations are actually the most technical and complex things in our world. It's how life began. I mean, we're still trying to figure out the human body and nature and how our world works. And that's what we're defining as non-technical, the social and natural environmental things. But actually, it's one of the most technical areas ever because we're still learning and discovering every moment about that. And so that was that book. And this year at Davos, at the World Economic Forum with PricewaterhouseCoopers, I published this book called Before This Decade Is Out. And the reason I did that, it's a twist on a meme. It's a meme. John F. Kennedy stood before Congress and he said, before this decade is out, we'll put men on the moon. Well, I used that meme or that same wording because before this decade is out, we need to reach the Sustainable Development Goals. We need to think about resilience. We need to think about regeneration and how we move forward with models. So a lot of people are still complaining or talking or discussing or debating the Sustainable Development Goals without thinking, oh, there will be something after those goals. Maybe I should set the bar higher or think into the future so that I'm not working on something in the past, but I'm working towards a better and brighter regenerative future. And so that's why, as a futurist and also as an economist, that I want to bring up those topics on where we're going long term in the future. There's 3 core pillars of sustainability, and I want to go through those now because most people at the COP, most people in the world don't know the definitions or the many definitions of sustainability and what that means. There are 3 core dimensions, and the first one is economics. And you're like, I thought, Mark, what are you talking about? I thought you were a tree hugger, an activist, and an environmentalist. What does economics have to do with sustainability? Did you know that the Sustainable Development Goals are an ecological economic model? How many people here knew that? One person. There's probably somebody saying, oh, I knew it. That was a Klaus Schwab conspiracy. I knew that the Sustainable Development Goals were an economic model and were changing the world. Well, don't be confused. It's not a conspiracy theory. Let me just help you. What is regular development? Forget about sustainable development. What's regular development? Well, regular development is an economy. It's the built environment, exactly what he does. MQDC, DGTO, they do the built environment, real estate, building management, property management. That's the built environment. Regular development is an economy. And you know what? It's a huge economy. Every single year, it's in the trillions of dollars economy. It's a market segment in the built environment, not only in roads, mobility, infrastructure, housing, commercial, residential, city scale, country scale. Development is an economy. And we know that from December 2015, when we adopted the Paris Agreement and the Sustainable Development Goals, to December 2030, when the Sustainable Development Goals will end, we know that that regular economy, the development economy, is going to spend 89 trillion US dollars regardless, in what we call the high carbon scenario. So sustainable development is the opposite to that. It's also an economy, but it's an ecological economy, and it's the low carbon scenario. It's doing exactly what Dr. Singh does, and RISC and MQDC and other sustainable developers. They're building the built environment with better materials, circular economy. That's the low carbon scenario. It's not perfect. It's not the silver bullet, the magic wand, but it's a lot better. It's the low carbon scenario. And that, from December 2015 to December 2030, that industry for sustainable development is only 5 trillion US dollars more than the regular economy. But we do it in a much better way. It's 94 trillion US dollars. So it's only $5 trillion more for a much better outcome. It builds a foundation so that we can then springboard off into resilience and into the resilience development goals, so that when those things happen, we can have energy, water, food, transportation, and those basic needs of humanity the very next hour. And then the second and third dimension of sustainability is innovation. And it's not just any innovation, not some new dating app or a delivery app. It's innovation that transforms, impact innovations that transform for purpose. And then the last dimension is futures. So foresight, the future, thinking about the future. And I'll touch on those in a minute. So you might not have known all the old or classical or the current economic models. this is how many we have. We probably have a few that I'm not talking about. We've talked about GDP, we've talked about capitalism, extractive economics, micro, macro. That's the old economic models. But did you know that there are more than 32 ecological economic models in our world? And I know all of you can name 5 of them. I dare anybody to raise their hand or shout out 5 ecological economic models. I know everybody knows them. And I've asked economists this. I'm an economist, and I've asked them that, and they're like, well, I don't know any ecological economic models. Let me help you out. I told you already that the Sustainable Development Goals are an ecological economic model. How about circular economy? How about the donut economics? How about the well-being economics? How about the Buddhist economics? How about all these 32 plus ecological economic models? So the reason in sustainability, while the number one dimension is economics, is because you can't just, bitch and moan and complain about all the bad economic systems. Wouldn't it make sense that you create a new economic system or an ecological economic system that can replace the bad ones? Well, guess what? Just in the last 2 years, there have been more than 20 books written on ecological economic models. That's more than in all human history. In the last 2 years, more than 20 books written on ecological economic models. I think that's telling us that we're sick of the standard, regular economic models. And it really ties to business, ties to development, ties to innovation, ties to the future and foresight. But these are things that we don't know. When we were presented with the Sustainable Development Goals, was that, what are those bubblegum colored things that we're supposed to do? And I like number 1, it's red, it's my favorite color, that's the one I'm going to work on. When you look at the framework from Dr. Singh's resilience framework, you see the spiral, you see the circle of the three areas and then the 10 sub-areas around that. And then as he went further in the slides, you see this like almost a spider web, how everything's connected. That's a systems approach. That's systemically thinking on how to solve things. And that systems approach gets us out of the Anthropocene into the Symbiocene, and then that's the next age that we want to go on. And so when we talk about innovation or non-technical innovations, did you know that the fastest form of human innovation and evolutionary innovation is called symbiosis? It's been around for 3.8 billion years, and guess what? It's a super exponential. It's the fastest innovation in the world. Beyond AI, beyond climate tech, beyond any innovation and thing that you can think about, symbiosis, and when we cooperate and collaborate together, it might seem non-technical, but I can blow any model that is extractive and regular growth or GDP model or any regular hierarchy business model right out of the water, because symbiosis is the fastest form of innovation our world has ever seen. It's what they call a super exponential, but it actually goes into quantum tunneling. Since Dr. Singh also studied at MIT, he should know that's where the Limits to Growth book came, and the World Model 3 and the systems dynamic modeling of how we model the Earth. And so we also need, the other reason I show this other book is we need new words. We need to get out of this anthropocenic terminology of how bad humans are acting and being on the world, and we need to have new words for a new world. And that's what this book, Earth Emotions, is about. It talks about, let's get out of this anthropocenic terminology and vocabulary, and let's talk about the Symbiocene, where we want to go. So symbiosis is this ecological phenomenon and the world's most advanced form of evolutionary innovation that we've ever seen. It's a super exponential, and it goes into quantum tunneling. So when we're talking, let's do social innovation, that's non-technical. It's proven scientifically, mathematically, that it is the fastest form of innovation our world has ever seen. We hardly ever hear about it, but it absolutely is. And I want to kind of go deeper into that to tell you why. In all living systems, in every living system that you can think of, like biology, ecology, environment, every living system, 1 + 1 never, ever, ever, ever will ever equal 2. Maybe it would if it's disabled, if it's retarded, if there's something bad in that system, it would. But in life, in living systems, unless it's been mutated or it's disabled, it will never equal 2. It's always a super exponential, and most times it goes into this quantum tunneling that pushes things beyond abundance and that. And that's why it's the biggest and fastest form of innovation. So this is how we were presented with the SDGs, right? You know, so, oh, I like number 2. It's a kind of an orangey color, and that's the one I'm going to work on. It is virtually impossible to work on one SDG and not touch on all the others. If you said, I'm going to work on number 1, that's my goal, I'm going to work on no poverty, it would be virtually impossible for you just to work on that and not touch on all the others because they're tied together as a system. This is actually why I wrote the Sustainable Development Goal Manifesto for the United Nations, is so that we could have a vision, close our eyes and envision what would a world look like in December 2030 if we reached all the goals. And then if you like that vision and you like that manifesto, then why don't you try to achieve those goals to get to that future? And so it's kind of the main reason I developed that. And this is how we should look at the goals, kind of like a wedding cake or a pie, because the bottom layer is where we get all our resources and materials from on this world to make computers, to build buildings, to build cars, to do everything we want, to make food, and that then feeds society and then feeds our economy and then takes care of our world. It's very similar to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which you see here, where the bottom few layers are for who? They're for us. They're the basic needs: breathing, food, water, security of body, security of environment. Who are the Sustainable Development Goals for? They're not for cities, they're not for countries, they're not for politicians. They're for you and I. They're our basic needs of humanity, and this is my version of the Sustainable Development Goals, similar to the pie. Climate actions covers the bottom layers of the Sustainable Development Goals and then feeds into everything. It's very three-dimensional, and it's how the world works, and it was developed through innovation, systems dynamic modeling, forecasting, backcasting, and a lot of targets and indicators. But here's the biggest thing, and this ties to Dr. Singh and many others in sustainable development and in development in the world. Did you know that in order to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, but even forever, for the past 17, 18 plus years, our world has always needed 6 major transformations to get out of the Anthropocene into some other age or epoch. The only one that we talk about is the digital revolution, innovation, the digital transformation. And as you see, that's number 6. That's the 6th transformation. Why don't we ever talk about the 5 other transformations that are needed to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals? Just regardless of the Sustainable Development Goals, we still need to make those 6 transformations regardless. And the number 1 starts with education, health and well-being, energy, decarbonization, sustenance, food and oceans, and sustainable cities and communities. And they are all tied to the SDGs. And if we do those transformations in our built environment, which I said, what is sustainable development? It's infrastructure. It's the built environment in a low-carbon scenario. It's doing it with better things, circular economy, better materials. It's not rocket science. It's not a Rubik's Cube that you'll never solve. It's the basic needs of humanity. I would like to live in a sustainable place, and instead of a place that doesn't have any energy or that is a big emitter or a big problem on our planet in the future. I would love to live in a better way. And the last thing is, I mentioned it was a lot of monies involved around that. 90 trillion and just 94 trillion in sustainable development. That's about 6 trillion a year. This is the Guardian. This is the UN website that shows those numbers, that I didn't make those things up. The way we know that is we know how much is spent every single year in development. And as you see it right here, there's two sides. There's development and sustainable development. And that's the side that's the low carbon scenario and much better. So now, here's one thing. This is COP26. Everybody says $94 trillion. That's a lot of money. We don't have that money. Where are we going to get that money from? Don't worry. This is COP26 in Glasgow, the very first week on Tuesday, or on the very first week on Thursday. That's Mark Carney and Rishi Sunak. They committed $130 trillion to the heart of sustainable finance and the SDGs, meeting the Paris Agreement. That was 2 COPs ago. 2 COPs ago, so it's the 3rd COP ago. But yeah, COP26, we're at COP28 now, and right at the beginning of the first day, we already have a commitment over $100 million just to loss and damage, which the last I heard is we've already hit in the billions. And that's just loss and damage. That's not even talking about sustainable development. The money is there. We just need to start realizing how to build that infrastructure of the future. And now I'm going to finish. We really need to go to this thing called SEVA, which means regeneration, selfless service to life. We need to get out of this ego hierarchy model. We need to get where I think a lot of us already are in this ecological model of life, but we need to take it a step further to SEVA, where we do regeneration, selfless service to life. And that means that we will all be U squared. We will have quantum leaps and regenerative symbiogenesis, which is really becoming by living together. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor Mark Buckley. This is very interesting, holistic picture that let us see how the world and the development of the non-technology innovation looks like. So maybe this is our last questions, and I would like to go for the operator. If the business is one of the runner who can, drive our society, of course, and also the country. So I'll go for Dr. Kit and Dr. Singh with the same question. Do you think right now, currently, have we done enough of the non-technological innovation? I mean, in your opinion. And please summarize, how do you think of the forward to the non-technological innovation? So go over to Dr. Kit first.
So I take it before Dr. Singh is easier for me, because after him going to be very high bar. So I mean, I think first of all, technology and also non-technology need to go hands in hand, right? Yeah, because at the end we cannot achieve the new things without technology. But again, technology alone not going to get us there, right? So that's why I think we need to look around and see. I think one thing that I like to promote is that everybody here in the room and also here online, we should collaborate more, right? Because at the end, this thing is bigger than us, so we cannot achieve anything like the amazing, without collaboration. So I call for everybody, to kind of join hands and then see what else. There's some angle that we may be able to do together, to help this and make this change, right? So that's my wrap up for the day.
Thank you so much. And go over to Dr. Singh with the same questions.
Have the state done enough? Is that your question? I,
But
I
you
don't know
have
if I
to,
should
of course.
answer that question because if you break down to non-technological, you talk about, okay, let's say financial innovations. Have the state done enough? No, obviously not, because we still have problem with the financing climate tech and climate movement, right? Okay, one go. Have the state done enough in terms of policy? Let's say in Thailand. No, because we don't even have carbon tax. We don't have any rule regulation for people to move forward. Just the other day, the private sector actually asked that the government should and must put some regulation to force them to give the reason to their shareholder to say, we have to do this because it's regulated. But no, the government haven't done that, right? So third, education. Have we done enough? Clearly, not really, right? We have a lot of sustainability courses, we have workshops and all of this, but yet, most of the kids still are not acting, actually, especially in Thailand, you know, waste separations, volunteering, and things like that. So, to put in short, I think we have a lot of gaps still in terms of the government to push for this climate. Because if you look at different sectors, education, finance, policies, all of them lack the drive to make it happen. So I don't know whether that answered the question or not. And another one, let's say nature-based solutions. Have the government done enough? No, because government building is probably one of the worst buildings in Thailand because they don't follow the regulations. They have exemptions because they're government entity. You know, they can build higher, bigger, closer to the street, avoid green areas. They can do all that. So clearly, if we look at different categories of non-technological, we know that it's far from enough, and we need to do more. So I might make enemies here because there's a lot of governments here, but I think it's just to be honest. So yeah, that's my point.
Thank you so much. It was the value reflection, though. Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay. So let's see how the government will say. So, in terms of policies, and especially the science and technology policies, of course, have we done enough, and what would be forward on that?
In fact, Dr. Singh is semi government official. Well, first of all, on behalf of NXPO, and not the closing, just I have been educated from three excellent speakers from their view. Thanks a lot. I am a technology guy. I follow COP since COP 15 from Copenhagen in technology development and transfer. We try to cope with climate change by using technology mechanisms. Okay, try to transfer technology from developed countries to developing country and some mechanisms. They attempt a lot to transfer technology, hard technology, to developing country, but it proven now is not success. So, do you have my okay? So, I would like to recall two technology mechanisms, the new program of work, POW, of Climate Technology Center Network or Climate Center to Transfer Technology. They have just launched one new program of work. You know, they changed from look to adaptation, mitigation, but they are using they call 5 transformation area. Okay. 4 is technology like the nexus on food, water, food, energy, sustainable transportation, energy system, and other. But they also focus on business and industry. So I echo you again about the investment business. And then they believe now climate guide, climate forum, they try to focus on they call enabler, two enablers. The first one, digitalization. Okay, digital, okay. But last but not least, they use keywords, National System of Innovation, NSI. It means collaboration, engagement to work together among three key stakeholders. Government facilitator, as you blame us, regulate. Government, academia, okay? Need to, academia, this capacity building, knowledge to beneficiary. And last but not least, industry, private sector. So it means now they try to use the policy to drive to cope with climate change, not only hard technology or technological innovation, but non-technological or innovation, maybe social innovation and others. So in my summaries, I think we need both. Again, would like to echo you, we need both technical and non-technical. Thank you.
Much. Dr. Surashai, thank you so much. Now, go to Professor Mark with different questions. So far, you've been seeing, as a futurist, you've seen and work a lot with Thai people and Thai business. So give us some, what do you see the opportunities for us, for Thailand, to go for non-technological? What else that we can do and what else that we can, try to push onwards to that? So please give us some, super hard power to do that. So over to you.
Thank you. So right before the COP was the Dubai Future Forum. It was November 27th and 28th. So just right before COP started on the 29th. And Dr. Singh was there with me as well. It's the world's largest gathering of futurists. And I want you to know that I know a lot of futurists in Thailand. And I know a lot of people who are working on innovation and the forefront. And they're also tied to other world leaders and other world organizations regarding the future. I think the Thai people have the opportunity and their finger on the pulse to have and get that knowledge for the future of the world and to be future leaders. My only plea to the Thai people is don't look towards others to build your strategy in the future of Thailand as your national ambitions. I do a lot of work with Thailand Management Association, with Big Grim. I'm starting to work with RISC and MQDC. And what I'm realizing is that a lot of the things that they're talking about in the seminars and the conferences and the workshops is actually Western world knowledge, which I'm telling you is already outdated. It's already old. You need to be talking about regeneration. You need to be talking about ESG taxonomy. And actually, that's setting the bar kind of low. So you guys talked about regulatory and city and governments and country governments and how the policies and the rules are different for that. But I want you to know, when anywhere in the world, it doesn't matter anywhere in the world, when a policy, regulation, rule, or law comes out, I want you to know it's a very low bar. It's not future, it's not progress, because you have to think about it. Let's take, for example, the European Union ESG taxonomy. I sit on the PSF Commission of the European Union taxonomy, and there's 40 other commissioners on that panel or on that commission for the EU taxonomy. When we rolled that out in July 12, 2021, I can tell you that's not a new forward-thinking strategy or policy. It's about 5 to 7 years old and outdated because it took politicians, delegates, governments that long to debate, to discuss, to negotiate, to get the wording right in order to roll it out. And then guess what happened? The pandemic happened, which slowed down the process as well. And everywhere in our world, when something good happens, there's also something that comes and intervenes. Let's take for another example, when the SDGs or the Paris Agreement, that was at COP21 in Paris, right? What happened right before the COP21 in Paris? 2 days before the climate conference, the COP21, what was there? There was the terrorist attack, right? They almost canceled the entire COP, and it would have left us without the SDGs, without the Paris Agreement. What happened at COP22 in Marrakesh the very next year, the second day of the first week of the climate conference, Donald Trump was elected as president. Everybody could have went home. I was in Marrakesh. Everybody was crying because he made a statement, we're going to take the United States out of the Paris Agreement, right? So everybody was freaking out because of that. No matter where in the world, when a policy or regulation comes out, it's already way behind the times, 5 to 7 years. And then also, there's always something in our world that's going to derail that. A war, a pandemic, an election, something is going to slow that process down. So I want you to know, if you're looking to other people, to the Western world, developed countries or wherever, and say, oh, ESG is the new thing. Oh, we need to talk about regeneration. Oh, we need to talk about resilience. Yeah, that's great, but you need to get the core fundamentals right, and you also need to realize that by the time those come out, they're already outdated and old, and it's a low bar. So we need to think much further, put the bar much higher, and the new triple bottom line is not people, planet, and profit. It's responsibility, resilience, and regeneration, and that's something that cannot be greenwashed. It's something that cannot be manipulated, and it will always keep you future fit as a country, city, organization, and as a human being. That's all I have to say about that.
Thank you so much, Professor Mark Berkeley. Thank you so much. And this is all we have for this panelist. Thank you so much, the audience, also online. Thank you for joining us. Hope you are enjoying this COP28. Bye-bye.